Been quite a busy day for Fairy Tail, to say the least and all that, with the first chapter being translated for 100-Year Quest, and now the second one. So yes, the people online, you're going to be getting a little bit of the special of 2 chapters this week, being reviewed for Fairy Tail. And with this one, we finally get to jump into a lot of those juicier plot points that I wanted to discuss with what was happening a lot with Toka, what was happening with Elseria, and the main plot for this particular series. And wow, like I said it in the synopsis as well, the way how they're trying to one-up this is definitely like, please, let's brush under, like, you know, what happened with Alvarez. Let's just, you know, let's just try and top that 5 times greater than what we could do. So let's jump in and let's talk about how severely fucked everyone is unless they pull some serious shit out of their ass. So with chapter 2, we get immediately straight up from where we saw with the Lord Dragon, Elseria, where it was like they're talking saying you're the client for the 100-Year Quest, and he's like talking saying yes I am and all that, and you're the 99th heroes that have arrived to like take on this quest. One thing he said, like when he was talking about this, where it was like, okay though, but why is it just you here and all that, like this is supposed to be a guild, like a guild of wizards, so why particularly is there a dragon here and there's nobody else? And it's like, he pretty much describes that, you know, like, we pretty much, like, I'm the only one left here and all the other humans passed away due to old age, and other guilds were formed one by one, and the younger wizards joined that, and then we pretty much became forgotten by the wayside for the most part. And I'm thinking like, you're like the first guild. I feel like people would still come here and like actually research and trying to look around. Mind you, we don't know the particular like how the country works, like differentiating from like from Ishgar and like Alvarez. So when it makes me like look at this, I'm like, I'm pretty sure people come here that we don't know the magic society really too well in this country compared to like the others. But when he's discussing it, and it's just like the one thing is like that the fact that a dragon lives here though is unrelated to the quest. However, though, when that happens, however, Natsu and Wendy start calling something out where no, this isn't right, something's off with this, and they call out on Elseria and say no, this is bullshit and all that. It's like, I've noticed this, you're human. That this isn't right. Something's completely off about this, and the guy just starts laughing, and then we see him transform back into a old man, which is the one that we saw right at the first chapter, and he's like, yeah, that's me, as he starts transforming with this giant dragon staff behind him. He's like, I'm the creator of magic guilds and the first master of Magic Dragon and all that. Pleasure to meet you. The name's Elseria. Like, and when we see about him, it's like, wait, so you're an old man that's been living for like over 100 years, and like you just completely just turned into a dragon. And this is where they talk about it, where it's like, to make it simple for you kids, I'm pretty much similar to Acnologia in sorts, where we're the same, where I'm like, he was the prince of dragon slaying magic and I couldn't run from it, thus I transformed pretty much into a dragon, where he used it, but he's like, I self-taught myself for the most part, which I'm like, God, how the fuck do you really self-taught, like, you know, magic slaying, like dragon slaying magic for the most part? He's like, in order to defeat a dragon and all that, I had to learn this magic, and it's just like, what the hell? And like, he's already like teleporting from place to place. We're seeing him shrieking. The one bit, I even mentioned that as well in the first chat. I was like, wow, this isn't as edgy as I thought. No, I went straight there. Like, the old guy transformed into Lucy's breast, and then Natsu starts like grabbing them to get her out of there, and I'm like, this, yeah, no, we're definitely Fairy Tail now. We're going there, like, having that moment in there. But he's even talking where he's like, you know, all the other people have just like come beforehand and all that. It's just been old men like guild arts, and he's like, oh yeah, that guy and all that. And he's like, he came here and it's like a magic guy, and he's like, oh, back in the old days, women like that, there was like female wizards roaming around. I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's a huge fucking pervert. All right, but we'll know later on that he's like, I mean, the guy could turn into a dragon, so like, he is clearly like on some insane level where like, Eileen is the mother of all dragons. This guy is like one of the guys that like was pretty much on that level. So if anything, he is probably Eileen like level of power, I'd say, like where she's just fucking insane for the most part. And when we see from this and all that is like not a single one of the people like come back here after this quest, and he's like, but you've got to understand, the 100-year quest and all that, it's like no one's ever come back, you know, really out of good condition. We saw what happened to Gildarts. He lost his arm, his leg, and some organs. And he's like, he even discusses this. You need to understand this and all that. Like, are you even prepared for this kind of quest and all that? And he's like, this needs to be serious, where like your lives could be on the line. Then we like kind of cut away from that for a little bit, and then we go and focus on like best girl Julia, who's like getting upset because she's like, what is Julia doing here? Quick, let's do a Julia job, which is just protect Grey Summer's life. And it's like they already like have this weird rivalry sort of like flashing about, where it's like Toka is already just like, can't you just wait for your lover to return like on his own? Do you have to kind of do that to him and all that? And it's like she just turns around. You fucking what? You serious, mate? I'll knock you out. I swear on me mum. Like, she's there like, you dare talk to me like that? And it's like, she's like, oh, I'm sure Natsu-sama is going to be returning soon, and when he does, he will accept my love. And it's like, no, Ian. No. And it's like, that, and one thing that instead of Julia just going, okay, you've never met before, and you've never really spent time between each other, like, they start calling people out, where it's like, oh yeah, Natsu already has a lot of girls around him, like Lucy, Lizana, and Urza. And I like the fact it's like, oh yeah, Lizana's a thing, and then even Lizana's in the background, like, yeah, even me, like, because, hey, you guys used to be a thing, and then that just got completely thrown out on the sideline, really, like, which is the one thing as well. Lizana was never even supposed to come back. She never was supposed to be a thing afterwards, and you can just tell because she just got thrown off by the side, and that was because of the of one of the editors wanted to try and bring her back, which would have made a nice little touching moment for like Natsu if he had to like see Lizana again, like grown up, and then had to say goodbye and then discuss this with Mira and Elfman. That would have been such a nicer moment for them. But no, she's here, and she's pretty much done nothing ever since then, like apart from having that one emotional moment and like the backstory of Natsu. And this is when it gets interesting, when like Toka mentions this, like, oh, but Grey also has a bunch of women in his life. Urza, Ul, Ultir, Bria, Kana, and even more in the shadows. And like Kana's there like, no, just get away, like this giant beer keg. Now, one thing, Gargiel starts sniffing some bullshit out of this, where it's just like, that girl, she just said Bria, or Brea, or however you say that bitch name, which is that girl from Avatar, who was the one that had the copy magic, and it's like, why the hell do you know about that person? Like, why do you know about someone from, like, a dark guild? Like, what is up with this shit? Like, immediately, like, kind of calling out this, shit. So, Gargiel doesn't trust her one bit, like, thinking that there's something off with this girl immediately, like, where it's like, no, how the hell do you know about that information, and what, you've been kind of going around, so it's kind of safe to assume that there is something off, with Toka. Like, we don't know the full information about her yet, but there's something she's clearly hiding, and whether or not she's a spy, or what exactly her entire agenda is, it maybe not be completely about Natsu, or even the fact that she could be Bria, or like she could be related in some way, like we've had with other characters, where we've had like different characters from before and all that. Like the head of Lamy Scale was actually like one of Urza's old friends. Like you had stuff like that, like you can like happening. Then we return to Magia, where he decides to written this out, where he's saying you can't speak about any of these details, returning to the 100-year quest, which explains with one of my things when I say in the synopsis, where it's like, this is kind of how no one's really heard about this information. Okay, that's slightly how I get it, but still, it's kind of hard to hide this news from any other continent, where I was like, okay, and like on there, because when we get like this flashback just saying like, maybe I should just head back home, but like even Lucy's like, maybe I shouldn't be here, maybe I'm not ready for this. She's kind of really self-doubting herself with this, and it's like, she's even saying that she joined like a whim ago, and that they've been traveling to get here for like over like a week or so. However, there is something very interesting with what Virgo says. Virgo's like, I have to tell you something quite important. There's details about that, and it's just like, this continent, you're gonna have a faithful reunion for the most part, and it's just like, and she's like, I'm already in a lot of trouble and all that, like about this and all that, like this is already punishment for me and all that. It's so hard for me to like even go into. And of course they pan onto Aquarius' key, so this is potentially like, again, like, this is the bit where I was like, I like the whole fact that, like, she lost Aquarius and that it would be a long time before she would ever see Aquarius again. I think, like, technically, at this point, it is, like, I think, like, right after the Acnologia and, like, 545, there was, like, another time skip or so, or, like, there was a couple of months, or there was another year, so technically she hasn't seen Aquarius for, like, 2 years, maybe, I'd say. Maybe, if not, a year and a half, I'd say. I'd still like to be on that, like, she didn't even reunite until she saw, like, years upon years later when she, like, was older and, like, maybe had a kid of her own, and then we'd have the same scenario where, like, she'd be raising, like, kind of raising while Lucy was busy. I was like, that's something I was kind of picturing on there, but this could start show a sign that, like, a main reason why Lucy is here, and something that she has to, like, feel like she has to accomplish and all that, and she's like, I need to do this with everyone and all that, so give me the details of this. And this whole plot is fucking insane. Seal the 5 dragons of Giratina, known as the 5 dragon gods. Yes, they want to go against gods for the most part, like, which are dragons. Now, it's safe to assume that, like, from what we've seen from there, like, we've seen 3 different classifications of dragons. Like, since we've seen the series, we have seen normal dragons like Zirconus, we've seen, like, the Atlas Flame, we've seen kings, which are, you know, as we've seen, like, their Igneel, Grandine, Metallicana, like, Skiadrum, Weislogia, like, we've seen, like, those kind of, like, dragon gates. And then we've seen dragon gods, which is classification of Acnologia, where he was able to pretty much do anything for the most part. However, they just, when he's talking about this, he's like, I learned dragon slaying myself, so I used to defeat and seal these 5 dragons. I like to point out as well how they're talking about this and how he said it, seal. I'm a little bit happier with that because a lot of it and all that, they're saying their strength is so abundant that they were crowned gods, and that you could say he describes each of one of them is like Acnologia. Now, the original thing I heard about this is that they are all as strong as Acnologia. That was the original, like, little thing I heard, and I'm like, that is fucking nuts. That get out. If he's describing that every one of them as cruel, and no matter what, this is, like, one way to, like, try and one-up, like, Acnologia and try and one-up the Alvarez War, where it's like, there's 5 of them this time. There's 5 Acnologias roaming around. It's like, even still, we're dealing with actual dragons here. We're dealing with, like, the cream of the crop from how they're describing of dragon gods. And I'm gonna say, there are some designs I've seen in there that look fucking awesome. There is one that looks really dumb, which is just, like, a dragon head that's, like, stuck on, like, a little circle ball, which is probably, like, some earth dragon. I'm not gonna lie, I saw one with a halo ring. I saw one which... this is, like, I said it before in the synopsis as well. This is pretty much the Chroma Conclave for the most part. So, how they're describing it is, like, we need to seal them. So, in other words, how the hell do we seal them? And I'm guessing is that we need to get them in a weakened state, and then we let Elselia take care of the rest, and pretty much try and seal them from there. Either so, I can see maybe, like, they're going to try and defeat maybe 1 or 2 of the weaker ones, but it's like they're going to have a hard time. This is, honestly, I think this could be very interesting just depending on how it handled. Again, like, we're talking that, like, technically, I'd like to say Urza did beat Irene, although with a lot of help and a lot of, you know, bullshit around that fucking fight on there, so they've already been like, well, Urza can defeat, like, a dragon. She already fought Irene, technically. Like, she fought the Queen of Dragons, like, and we've seen Natsu, but Natsu had to have the help of 7 Dragon Slayers. They had to nerf down Acnologia by having Igneel taking one of his arms away, and, like, even as well, like, he was still getting powered up for that state, but it's like, you still had 7 Dragon Slayers. We're dealing with only 2 here, like, at the moment. Like, it might be best to get the others. Like, honestly, it might be best to get Laxus and the others on this end, but we don't know what's happened with, like, Cobra. We don't know what's happening on them. We don't know this scale as well. It sounds like, as well, like, also this Elselia guy might want to teach these guys, like, a little bit about what he knows about these dragons, how to seal them, what is their strategy. So maybe we might get that next chapter, but the chapter ends with Natsu getting excited, going, yeah, I'm fired up, let's do this. Again, like I said, this could be a mess, but I'm a little bit more happy with how this chapter was being translated for me. Now, again, this is fan translation, so Seal could also mean defeat in some way, or like again, like one of the other translations described the guild as Magia Dragon, and like the entire continent got completely misspelt as well, of where it was like Guillotina or Guillotina, that's how it was being pronounced for a while. Like, so with this, yeah, generally again, it's still showing to see like, yeah, deal with 5 dragon gods. There you go, no pressure. Again, it's definitely a it's a plot to be you can deal with. I would say, like, this is definitely what you want for a sequel and all that. Can they handle something like that though without handling, you know, without it being 110% bullshit though? So that's the only thing. I will definitely say I'm very much looking forward to the next chapter of this though. I want to find out what is going on with this series as soon as possible. So overall, like I said, I liked combining the 2 chapters that came out as one. I definitely like this one. I think the second chapter is the more Aussie interesting one, as we've got the proper plot for it, and the first one was more just kind of like setting up what is up with this new girl, like there's stuff going on there. We find out that the guild is going on a 100-year quest and that they're dealing with it, so pretty much already what happened with 545. And yeah, 547 is more interesting of the chapters on there, and definitely as well with this one, I was getting more used to the art style on there. But again, it was like kind of points to deducted because it was like it added in some dumb, goofy like edginess and all that. And, like, it was harmless, but it was like I kind of want to like know what the hell is going on and all that. And like it's the least offensive version I've seen of it compared to some of the hero edginess that we've seen. So I'm glad it's like not super forced down my throat, like where there's been whole chapters of it. So we'll wait and see though when it comes down. But definitely like the chapter, and yeah, I can't wait for next week definitely. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But that's all from me. Thanks always for watching, and I'll see you guys though next time.